Tachibana Junichi and Ayatsuji Tsukasa are second-year high school students and they're dating. One day, Junichi is taken aback by the scene unfolding around him with Tsukasa. They're taking a bath together. Tsukasa, who is scrubbing Junichi's back, asks if he's enjoying it. Junichi, a bit nervous, replies that it feels very nice. He can hardly believe this happy moment is happening to him. Every now and then he glances over at Tsukasa, who's wearing just a towel. Tsukasa compliments Junichi's broad back, making him blush a little. She even says she has to stretch out her arms to scrub his back fully, then suddenly slips on some soap bubbles, causing her towel to slip off. Junichi almost turns to check on her, but Tsukasa, now trying to cover her chest, warns that she won't forgive him if he turns around. Junichi follows her instructions, though he's in front of a mirror that perfectly reflects Tsukasa's image. He looks at the reflection from her feet upward, and as he reaches her face, it suddenly morphs into his little sister, Mia. Maya's voice snaps him out of his dream with Tsukasa. Junichi opens his eyes to find Mia on top of him, telling him he'll be late for school if he doesn't get up soon, and that if he gets scolded by the teacher, it won't be her fault. Annoyed, Junichi wonders why Mia had to wake him up. Not understanding what he means, Mia yells that she won't wake him up ever again, so he can sleep for the rest of his life if he wants. On his way to school, Junichi's still a bit irritated with Mia. He was so close to seeing Tsukasa's body. Suddenly, Tsukasa appears behind him and asks if he was saying her name. She greets Junichi, and he awkwardly greets her back. As he looks at her, he recalls her body wrapped in a towel, just as it was in his dream. Tsukasa, noticing his expression, puts on an annoyed face, startling Junichi. She accuses him of looking perverted, which he denies. Then, Yayoi calls out to Tsukasa, who turns to greet her friends and joins them for a chat. Junichi and Tsukasa started dating about a month ago, since the school's anniversary celebration last Christmas. He still finds it hard to believe that someone as beautiful and smart as Tsukasa is his girlfriend. After chatting with her friends, Tsukasa's friends leave. Junichi gazes at Tsukasa and she asks what's up. Junichi says it's nothing. He's just grateful to be dating her. Tsukasa asks if he did the practice problems she gave him yesterday. He admits he was too sleepy to get to them. Tsukasa encourages him to stay determined, reminding him that finals are coming up and then there will be college entrance exams next year. Apologizing, Junichi feels that Tsukasa is always a bit overbearing with him. This morning, the homeroom teacher of Class 2 reminds the students that their finals are approaching and also announces an important upcoming school event, the election for Student Council President. The teacher says Tsukasa will be nominated for the president position. And while he won't tell the students to vote for her just because they're classmates, he encourages them to support her. Everyone claps and Tsukasa shares that based on her experience as class president and on the anniversary celebration committee, she wants the student council to inspire everyone. She asks her classmates for their support. Her friends cheer her on, confident she'll be elected as student council president. Voting will take place next week with the candidate list posted on the school bulletin board at noon. After that, the campaign season begins. The homeroom teacher reminds the students to pay attention to the candidates and consider the choice carefully before voting. This afternoon, all the students gathered on the field, eagerly waiting for the list of student council president candidates to be posted on the bulletin board. A second-year student from Class 2 mentioned to Junichi that he must be curious about the other candidates besides Tsukasa, and indeed, Junichi was a bit intrigued. One of the popular third-year students, Haruka Morishima, joked that she should have run herself, but her friend reminded her that she'd be graduating soon. Sanakata, a first-year student and Mia's friend, said she wanted to go home right away, but Mia insisted that things were just getting started. Finally, the candidate announcement was posted on the board listing 4 contenders: Seiji Hanazono, Tsukasa Ayatsuji, Sanakata, and Noriko Kurosawa. When Junichi saw Noriko's name on the list, he glanced her way, but she quickly looked away, pretending not to notice him. Seiji's friends cheered him on, and several students were surprised to see a first-year candidate. They acknowledged Sei's boldness for stepping up. Sai overheard people talking about her, which made her feel shy, but Mia, as her close friend, kept encouraging her. Ai also chimed in, saying this was a great opportunity for Sei to overcome her shyness. Maya and Ai assured Sei that they'd support her, so Sei started to feel calmer and more confident. Meanwhile, the list of candidates for vice president was also posted on the bulletin board. At this school, the elected president has the authority to appoint their own vice president, which can influence how people vote. Junichi asked Tsukasa who she'd choose as her vice president if she won, but Tsukasa just smiled and said it was a secret. When Junichi saw the vice president candidates, he was surprised. Tsukasa had put him on her list as her choice for vice president. Shocked, he asked Tsukasa why she picked him as her candidate for vice president. Tsukasa explained that Junichi had been a great help when they worked together on the school anniversary celebration committee, so she felt he understood how she operated, which is why she chose him. Tsukasa then asked if it was a problem for him, leaving Junichi momentarily speechless. Then Kaoru Tanamachi approached Junichi, asking if he'd seen the vice president list. Confused, Junichi checked again, only to find that Noriko had also chosen him as her vice president candidate. This meant that both Tsukasa and Noriko had selected Junichi as their choice. Sei had chosen Miya as her vice president and Seiji had chosen Romi. Junichi was even more shocked by this discovery. He saw Noriko's friends cheering her on, and Noriko smiled as she asked them for their support. Kaoru commented to Junichi on Noriko's boldness, saying it was as if she'd made a public confession. Tsukasa seemed annoyed by the whole situation. Later, behind the school, Tsukasa questioned Junichi about what this was all about. Junichi admitted he had no clue and insisted that he'd never even spoken to Noriko before. Tsukasa kept staring at him intently, so he assured her he was telling the truth. Tsukasa believed him, thinking that Junichi likely didn't know Noriko personally. She then mentioned that all she had to do was win this election. Junichi, still a bit dazed, reflected on Kaoru's comment about Noriko's choice to select him as her vice president being like a public confession. Just then, Tsukasa tapped him on the head with a piece of paper, reminding him of his commitment to study with her every day so they could get into the same university. Apologizing, Junichi realized she was right. Tsukasa figured that Junichi was probably thinking that Noriko's choice was a confession of sorts, but Junichi denied it. Tsukasa's intense stare, however, made it hard for him to lie. Junichi asked Tsukasa why Noriko would even pick him as her vice president, especially since he'd only just learned her name today. Tsukasa confidently suggested that Noriko might just be trying to get under her skin, possibly because her father was a city council member with a lot of pride and Noriko likely had her sights set on Tsukasa. By choosing Junichi, Noriko may just be trying to irritate her and lower her morale. Finally, Junichi understood the situation. Tsukasa teased him, asking if he was disappointed that it wasn't a love confession. Embarrassed, Junichi said that couldn't possibly be the case. He then asked if he should decline Noriko's offer for the vice president role. Tsukasa said there was no need to do that. What mattered most now was winning the student council president election. Besides, the election committee was currently conducting a preliminary survey. Tsukasa was confident that Noriko would realize the gap between them soon enough. Tsukasa then reminded Junichi to work on the practice problems she had given him, which were all basic questions. She asked him to complete them immediately, and Junichi got right to it. After school, Junichi asked Tsukasa why she wanted to be the student council president in the first place. Tsukasa explained that it would look good on her record, which could help her get into a good university and secure a decent job in the future. The next day, the results of the initial election survey were posted on the school's announcement board. None of the students could believe the outcome. Noriko received 311 votes, Sei got 27 votes, Tsukasa received 72 votes, and Seiji had 108 votes. Tsukasa's friends couldn't believe she ranked third in this first survey. They were certain something was wrong. Tsukasa was far more well-known, and she played an important role on the committee for the school's anniversary celebration. They were convinced there must have been a mistake in the survey. Meanwhile, Noriko's friends were optimistic that Noriko would win easily, but Noriko remained humble, saying her campaign had only just begun. From a distance, Noriko watched Tsukasa, saying that their battle was only now about to start. Tsukasa returned her gaze sharply. During the break, Tsukasa was lost in thought by herself, so Junichi reminded her not to take the survey results too seriously. He pointed out that she still had time until the actual vote and just needed to turn things around before then. Tsukasa remained silent, prompting Junichi to ask if she was listening to him. Tsukasa apologized, explaining that she was deep in thought. She assured Junichi not to worry about her, as it was just a preliminary survey. She believed Noriko was using her father's influence to tamper with the results, possibly making people choose her through her father's power. Junichi was surprised Noriko would go that far. Tsukasa understood Noriko would try to defeat her no matter what, but she saw it as a temporary issue. Junichi asked if she was confident about winning. Tsukasa responded with a question, asking if he even knew who she was. Junichi smiled in relief. Just then, Yayoi arrived with friends carrying printed campaign flyers for Tsukasa. Tsukasa thanked them all, acknowledging that while her start might have been rough, she had no intention of losing and would need all their help and support. Tsukasa's friends were excited to help her distribute the flyers to students around the school. Maya and Ai too eagerly helped and supported Sai in her campaign. All the candidates and their friends were busy campaigning to win over student support. In the meantime, Junichi found himself staring as Tsukasa's skirt fluttered a bit in the breeze. This gave him an idea for a campaign poster. He even admitted that the inspiration struck when he saw Tsukasa's skirt blowing in the wind. Tsukasa was surprised that something like that could spark his imagination. Junichi explained that the current photos being used were only headshots. If Tsukasa had a captivating and memorable poster, it would definitely stand out. Tsukasa asked if he was sure, mentioning that someone had doodled on Seiji's poster. Junichi reassured her that no one would dare to mess with her poster. Tsukasa finally agreed and Junichi was thrilled to start. He began taking photos of Tsukasa, directing her poses from standing straight to tilting her body slightly and smiling at the camera. He felt like he was doing a magazine photo shoot, enjoying the process. Junichi then asked Tsukasa to sit down to add more variety, suggesting poses like lifting one knee, crossing her legs, and even removing her socks. Tsukasa looked at him with a less than pleased expression, causing Junichi to drop his camera in shock. The next day, the bulletin board displayed the results of the second survey for the Student Council President election. This time, Tsukasa placed second, while Noriko still held first. Tsukasa's friends were excited about the improvement, as she was now close to the top rank. They were convinced it was thanks to the new posters. Tsukasa, however, doubted that the posters alone were responsible and instead credited her friends' support, saying that she couldn't have made it this far without their help. With only a little time left before voting, she asked them to keep supporting her until the very end. Meanwhile, Junichi quietly asked Tsukasa why she thought she had gained so many votes. Tsukasa suspected that most of the votes Seiji had been gathering from the girls had likely shifted to her, mentioning that some girls had started avoiding him after he accidentally dropped the porn magazine in the school hallway. She made sure Junichi understood not to do anything foolish, as it could affect her vote count. Noriko, however, was annoyed by Tsukasa's rising popularity and together with her friends began plotting a way to secure her lead. Fearing that Tsukasa might overtake her, they decided to put their final plan into motion. One of Noriko's friends approached Junichi, telling him that Noriko wanted to speak with him. Junichi followed, led by Noriko's friend to meet her. Meanwhile, two of Noriko's other friends made sure to pass by Tsukasa and gossip about how Noriko planned to confess her feelings to Junichi behind the school. Hearing this, Tsukasa decided to head to the back of the school as well. Junichi walked over to where Noriko was waiting. She thanked him for coming, apologized for calling him over, and for listing his name as her potential vice president without discussing it first. Noriko added that this might be her last chance. Aware that Junichi was dating Tsukasa, she confessed she just couldn't give up on him. As Tsukasa made her way to the back of the school, two of Noriko's friends who were watching her from above gave a signal to another friend hiding behind a tree. This friend used a mirror to reflect light toward Noriko, letting her know Tsukasa was near. Seeing the flash, Noriko suddenly hugged Junichi, just as he was in the middle of his polite rejection. Noriko begged him not to say anything, holding onto him tightly enough that Junichi could feel her chest pressed against him. She insisted that he understand her feelings and moved her face closer to his, nearly pressing her lips to his, just as Tsukasa arrived and witnessed the whole scene in shock.